Hello and welcome to the Monday, March 10th, 2025 edition of the SANS and its Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and today I'm recording from Jacksonville, Florida. In diaries this weekend, just a quick little diary about Webshells. Webshells certainly still a thing. This actually came up as a question in class last week. Yes, we do still see quite a bit of Webshells. Now, many of these Webshells use kind of random names, but there are a couple that stick out for being probed quite a bit. So probably want to check your web servers if these files are present. But what you really need to do is nail down your production lifecycle of your web applications so you actually know what files are supposed to be on your web server. And that makes it a lot easier to figure out, well, if something got added. These web shells are typically being added either via file upload vulnerabilities, that's sort of the more straightforward way, or what's also happening quite a bit is that they're being uploaded using command injection vulnerabilities, where essentially the attacker is just executing a wget, a curl command, or something like this in order to download the web shell to the system. Well, and this weekend at RootedCon in Madrid, researchers from Tarlogic did present about some undocumented commands in the very popular ESP32 chipset. ESP32 is made by Expressif, and it's a system on a chip, so it has a CPU, but also does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth interfaces, and, well, it's extremely cheap. Like, you can buy them on eBay or Amazon for a couple dollars retail. These chipsets show up in millions and millions of IoT devices, so any problem with these chipsets is certainly concerning. The problem that Tarlogic found was that there are a number of commands that can be sent over Bluetooth that enable some hidden functionality, some of this functionality with significant security impact, like, for example, the ability to read memory. Undocumented features in CPUs is nothing new. This has happened to pretty much any CPU manufacturer. Often they are just not well documented. Sometimes these features weren't meant yet to be ready, but they work well enough for people to still use them. So don't really know exactly what happened here. ESP32, the platform, had similar issues in the past where, for example, for the Wi-Fi interface, there was sort of a hidden way to set it into promiscuous mode that then, of course, was used by many sort of cheap wireless sniffing tools and such that people built around these chipsets. The paper is interesting. I haven't read all the details yet, looked a little bit at the presentation, but it's in Spanish. The press release also points out that the point of the presentation is not so much releasing, that there are these ESP32 hidden commands, but really more about releasing a tool set that was used to actually find these hidden commands to make it easier for pretty much anybody to do a security audit of these and other similar chipsets, because that's certainly something that we see more and more of in the IoT space and also industrial control systems and the like. But you have these fairly small and cheap systems on a chip that are implementing various wireless interfaces. And of course, Bluetooth has always been a little bit more difficult to access to sort of your average user, given some of the constraints around how Bluetooth is defined. And then a little bit of warning that, fake news can also affect security news. Earlier today, someone sent me a link to a LinkedIn post by a very well-respected security researcher. This post claimed that, RSA is dead and can easily be decrypted. The problem is that I very much so believe that this particular post was really just meant as a joke. If you know enough about RSA, you probably realize it's a joke, but, well, not many people really do know that much about RSA and then amplified that message. So if you're seeing a LinkedIn message like that or on other social media, be aware it, in my opinion, is really just a joke that maybe went a little bit too far. Then we have an interesting case study from security consulting company SRM. They discovered a malware that spread on an enterprise network via webcams. Now, webcams are often associated with attacks against home networks, but of course, enterprise networks have them as well, either for security, for video conferencing, and various systems like that. This is again an IP-connected standalone camera, so not one that was connected via USB to a particular computer. But what apparently happened here is that after initially breaching the network, the attacker did sort of gain a foothold on that camera and then used it to essentially pivot across the network and attack various other systems using SMB file shares. I think this is a good lesson here, in part because over the last few years, a lot of focus has gone towards endpoint detection response, or EDR. Well, please don't forget the network here, because devices like this are usually not well covered when it comes to EDR. Well, and this is it for today. So thanks for listening, and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.